But also the severe thunderstorm warnings that now stretch well downstream and actually include western sections of Ouachita Parish. So again, the National Weather Service is trying to give you as much lead time as possible with the swift moving nature of these storms. We want everybody to have, we don't want anybody to go, well, this caught us by surprise. And I'll be honest with you, we got caught by surprise by a storm earlier this afternoon, and it caused damage, didn't have a warning with it, and could have perhaps popped up between radar scans. That's how quickly that thing developed in northeastern Ouachita Parish. Here's our circulation, again, moving right over Bienville, moving off to the north and east. Here's Grambling and Ruston, Louisiana Tech, Grambling State, obviously up there as well. So for folks along I-20, make sure that you're in your safe place. If you have a child on the campus of Grambling State or Louisiana Tech and they're on a second floor or something like that, tell them to go make friends with their neighbors downstairs. Ask if they can go wait down there until these storms pass their area, and if there is no other option, they're stuck on the second floor, again, interior, inside, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. An interior hallway, closet, bathroom, anything of those nature, of that nature can help keep you safe. Again, that circulation, as I just kind of cross-reference with a few different radar products, that signature maybe not quite as strong as it was earlier, but still quite active and quite menacing as it moves toward the Highway 167 corridor. If you're in these areas, you get a lot of lead time from at least the potential for damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. And that's not just estimated, that is measured. We had that earlier today. Just a few minutes ago in Webster Parish. And the latest tornado warnings have been allowed to expire at 10:45. So the only warning that we have currently is this one that's moving into now western sections of Jackson Parish, southern Lincoln Parish, and now northeastern Bienville Parish. And again, I want to stress to folks how quickly these storms are moving. Remember, this warning was just issued a few minutes ago, and the possible tornado was here. It has now already crossed half of the parish and will be moving toward Ruston shortly. So again, if you're in these areas, don't play around with this storm. Interior portion of your home, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. It looks like that rotation's ramped back up again. I'm going to zoom back in east of Bienville. And there's our possible tornado, the reds and greens together. Reds are winds going away from the radar. Green is winds coming toward the radar. And when they match together like that, that usually means there's some kind of twisting or turning of those winds immediately within that line. Not always. I know a lot of folks are looking back here and going, what about that? It's usually, you have to know where you're looking. And that's our possible tornado on the lead edge of this line, still packing some 60, maybe even 70 mile an hour wind gusts at times as it continues to move to the east very quickly, 65 miles per hour. Again, there's our possible tornado. If you're trying to see this, you're not going to until it's too late. And again, we don't want your eyewitness reports of what you've seen. We just want you safe. And again, we've been on the air for about almost an hour now, trying to give folks lead time when these storms were all the way back into Caddo and Bossier parishes. So Ruston, Quitman, all along 167 from near Hodge to just north of Ruston, you are under a tornado warning. This warning goes all the way to the Ouachita Parish line, but does not include Ouachita Parish, at least for the time being. We'll keep an eye on it. Again, we'll just have to kind of see how things develop and materialize as we head through the next couple of hours and how this environment will treat these storms as they continue to move east. Walker, anything new from the National Weather Service?
Nothing new just yet from the National Weather Service, except for obviously that severe thunderstorm warning that you mentioned previously. That is in place until 11:30 p.m. I do believe you mentioned that, but just to reiterate. But you also mentioned that you're noticing the winds around that tornado kind of spin back up a little bit more. And I would say, I would tend to agree. I'm looking at the Shreveport radar, and so it's also saying the same thing.
All right, and again, that new severe thunderstorm warning out till 11:30 includes far southern reaches of Union County. It also includes much of western Union Parish, western Ouachita Parish, all of Lincoln and Jackson parishes, and western Wynn parishes. It's actually two different severe thunderstorm warnings. One goes until 11:30, and the other goes until, I believe, yep, they both go till 11:30. So you might as well think of it as one large severe thunderstorm warning. And then, of course, the embedded possible tornado as it moves into Lincoln and Jackson parishes. And we're going to get back close on that storm and take a look at that area of rotation. And again, You're starting to see that thing wrap back up, the reds and greens together. Also looking at an area north of Arcadia up here, too, for possible rotation as well. Again, I just don't want to be overly specific and just tell folks within the tornado-warned area to be in your safe place. If you're anywhere close to these storms or they're knocking on your door, you want to go ahead and get in your safe place now. Again, here's Jonesboro Hodge, here's 167, Ruston, Quitman, all these areas there, as this storm starts to knock on the door of Jackson and Lincoln parishes. You've had a lot of lead time in these areas, so make sure that you're in your safe place now, away from windows and doors. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Here's our circulation there, and then I'm going to move northward. There was a little bit of an area here along I-20. I don't see it as well with the National Weather Service and Shreveport's radar. So again, that's why we kind of cross-reference and look at all these different pieces of information. And I know, like I said earlier, I know that it gets confusing and, to be honest with you, almost probably nauseating at times to bounce from image to image to image. But to be honest with you, we just we're watching these storms with you and just trying to point out what we see as quickly as possible so we can let folks know to get to their safe place. You see the area of rotation here in the shear marker, but you move northward and you see these greens here. These are all indicating potential straight line wind gusts that could be very strong, if not gusty, over 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. So again, where you're not seeing maybe immediate tornado threats, you're definitely seeing damaging wind potential. Here's our possible tornado. Again, the reds and greens together. The radar's about to swipe. We get a new image every 60 seconds. And there's our area of the reds and greens together. It doesn't really look like much, again, to the untrained eye, but as this thing gets closer to our radar site, we're going to get a better and better look at it. But the warning remains in effect. Again, this tornado warning, I believe, goes until 11:30, if I'm correct, but we'll check it in just a second. Actually, I've already got it pulled up, and we'll zoom out across the That's okay. I got it here. 11:15 for these areas. So again, another 25 minutes of at least tornadic potential. Unless this warning's canceled early, I can't envision that happening, considering the overall structure of this storm, at least for the time being. Ruston, Grambling, Louisiana Tech, Grambling State, you are not in the clear yet. So, again, if you're in these places, make sure that you are sheltered, that you are interior portion of your home, lowest level if you can. Like I said, I know a lot of college students are on second floor dorms or third floor dorms or things of that nature. If you can get to a lower level, please do so. Like I said, make friends with neighbors. Call them, ask them, hey, go knock on some doors. Hey, there's bad weather. Can I come hang out here real quick and just and stay down here until these storms pass? If you can't, if there's no other options, you're stuck on a second floor somewhere, interior. Get away from as many walls, exterior walls, outside walls as possible. Find an interior hallway, closet, bathroom. Grab shoes, grab a helmet if you have one, grab a pillow, anything that can protect yourself from flying debris in these areas. Not just from the possible tornado, but the wind damage aspect of this as well as it continues to move east. Again, also starting to see some heavy rainfall out ahead of the main line. I don't think there's really a whole lot of correlation there. I don't think that's really going to disrupt the environment or anything of that nature for this circulation as it continues to move east. Next radar swipe's about to give us another look at this storm. As we see now, it's now crawled well east of Bienville and will be moving out of Bienville Parish into southern Lincoln Parish. Here's southern Lincoln Parish. Here is far northwestern sections of Jackson Parish. 167 is the red line here, Ruston, Grambling, I-20 and Highway 80 running here as well. In fact, 80 dips here, then back up over here as well. So I hope that gives you kind of a point of reference. I know we've stayed zoomed in on this storm for quite a bit, at least for the time being, and we're going to probably stay zoomed in on this storm for at least a little bit longer, as there's our possible tornado here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, give you some street names, and then we'll bounce back out and take a look at the entire line itself. Here's the Mount Olive community, Liberty Hill, Walsh. This is our possible tornado here, moving to the north and east. Here's Mount Olive Road. Here's Bear Creek. The Clay community back behind me, Ansley community, Woodville, and there's our area right here. Again, fairly strong, fairly pronounced. We'll be crossing into far northwestern reaches of Jackson Parish here soon. And it looks like we just got a new update from the National Weather Service. The warning just updated, trimmed away some areas. But again, there's our possible tornado moving northeast. Here's 167. Again, we just showed the Clay and Ansley communities. I believe equipment should be over here on the bottom part. There it is right here. Here's Hilltop, Woodville. And again, there's our possible tornado. I'm going to zoom in even closer to see if we can get any of these road names. Looks like this is Brooks Chapel Road. Here's North Road, CC Road, and White Road. Again, if these sound familiar, make sure that you're in your safe place. I believe that is Sand Hill Road. And again, like I said, the Brooks Chapel Road area. Here's our possible tornado. And with the next radar swipe, now here's our possible tornado. Moving ever so closely to Jackson Parish. We'll be crossing into Jackson Parish. This is Jackson Parish. Here's the Jackson-Bienville line. And you can see that possible tornado now moving into areas of northwestern Jackson Parish. 167, Ruston's up here, Shudrint. They're all still in the warning, so you need to be in your safe place. Again, not only are we seeing this area of circulation, but you're also seeing strong wind gust signatures farther northward. And I'm also keeping an eye on those for possible tornadic activity, although it looks like this has become kind of our main circulation, at least for the time being.
Yeah, Jared, just looking at different places along the line, I'm not really looking at any other favorable places of rotation, but I do want to say that with that tornado warning, that extension, it's noted that it's moving east at 65 miles an hour.
Yeah,
so
it's a fast
entire
movement.
line.
Yeah, and it's really become the dominant player that is kind of surged out ahead of the main line itself, and that's where we're running into the headache here. And you can see the cluster of storms, and I don't want folks to get too focused on just this one segment. And the reason why, I'm going to back out to our National Weather Service in Shreveport's radar. Keep in mind that we've shrunk our radar power down so we can see those velocities and we can see those signatures. But this is the storm, it's the complex in itself. Again, the severe weather threat back here on the southwestern flank is probably going to be pretty low. The heavy rain threat, clearly. But the main concern now is from right near the state line southward to about I-49. Maybe a little bit farther southwestward than that. But this segment here to here moving east is our big problem. And again, that is kind of falls in line with how the forecast was expected to pan out. Clusters or a complex of storms moving in, not impacting everyone with severe weather, but impacting a select area. And it was really just a matter, and we kind of knew this going in, we knew that it was going to be a matter of where that complex set up and moved east. We knew it was going to move east. We just didn't know who was really going to be impacted. That's why everyone was under a slight risk for severe weather. As I accidentally bump out the screen, we're going to go ahead and go back to home and start all over again. But again, as you look at these storms, there is still the extensive damaging wind potential as they move east. Walker, I would be concerned about that in a widespread area. You may also want to start thinking about looking at power outages in some of these spots too, to see if any of that has translated into terms of some power outages in our areas.
Yeah, Jared, I'll go ahead and get that pulled up.
Switching over to velocities mode. Again, it looks like our rotation's actually ramped back up. This is going to be moving toward, and we're going to probably stay on this for a little bit now, unless another warning is issued. But here's our Lincoln Parish tornado warning till 11:15. Here's our possible tornado. Should be crossing 167. I would say probably in the next 5 minutes. Maybe even sooner than that, just because of how quickly this tornado warned storm is moving off to the east, again, 65 miles per hour. So I'll leave that tornado warning status message up just for folks that are joining us and wondering why we're on television right now. Clay and Ansley, Woodville, Quitman's down here at the bottom part of your screen, and then you start getting up toward Ruston on the top part of your screen. This is moving north and east. Here's our possible tornado. Again, 167 near Clay and Woodville. Here's Old State Road. Here's Grigsby Road, Sugar Creek Road. And as I mentioned earlier, here's the Brooks Chapel Road. The tornado, possible tornado, looks to be north of this area. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and tilt the screen just a little bit so we get more of a bird's eye view from the top down, so there's not any kind of offsetting of the area of rotation. So again, south of Grigsby Road, 167, points west. So everyone along 167 from near Quitman northward all need to be in their safe place now. Again, this warning goes for not another 17 minutes, and at this point, I don't see any reason for it to be canceled early. This is a very, very violent circulation. It's probably, like as we mentioned earlier, the dominant circulation within this line, at least for the time being. There's our shear potential. Again, this has a history of producing wind damage, so be in your safe place. No reason for anybody to be out on the roads trying to keep an eye on this storm or monitor this storm. We don't want your pictures unless, like I said, unless you're going to send us a safe place selfie of where you are in your home and that you're sheltered and in your safe place. That's the only thing we really care about at this point. Again, as I know we're zoomed in extremely close. Here's Ansley Road in the Ansley community. Here's Clay. And again, this is 167, the Clay and Ansley Highway, Old State Road. And again, we're zoomed in hyper close to this possible tornado. The reds and greens together, I know our storm ticker, our severe weather ticker is probably catching us at the bottom of the screen there. But again, this is an area that is of concern, producing perhaps some 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts and could be producing a tornado. So again, to reiterate, a tornado watch is in effect till 2 a.m. for a good chunk of north central Louisiana and south central Arkansas. I know a lot of folks farther downstream, farther eastward are wondering, are we going to have a tornado watch in our area? We just don't know yet, and we're all in wait and see approach at this point as we hit the 11 o'clock hour on KTVE, NBC 10, and KARD Fox 14. Live storm tracker Doppler radar. We've been joining you for about the last hour with tornado warnings pretty much consistent in the northwestern sections of Louisiana that have moved steadily through our area. Now, as of the 11 o'clock time frame, only one active tornado warning, and it's for this area right here that'll be crossing 167 probably in the next 5 minutes. This tornado warning does include Ruston and Grambling. It includes Shudrint. It includes Hodge. It includes Quitman. It includes a lot of areas generally just north of Ruston to just north of Jonesboro along Highway 167. So here's 167, a red line here. There's our possible tornado as we've zoomed out a little bit to give you kind of a better reference point on where this storm is in this area. And again, still looking at it now in far northwestern reaches of Jackson Parish. Switching over to our radar mode, our traditional radar mode. I'm going to back off the screen here in just a second. Probably getting some heavy rain potential soon in Ruston. You need to be in your safe place. I know that this possible circulation looks like it may miss you to the south, but you are under a tornado warning, and a big, mean line of storms is moving through your area. So make sure that your interior portion of your home, away from windows and doors, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. I'm going to leave you on this radar screen for just a second. We'll bounce over here to our other room and continue to keep an eye on what's going on across the region. Walker, power outages, I know you've got them pulled up there. And in fact, if we want to go over to links 2 here for just a second and look at those power outages, I'll let you go through them, but that pretty much tells the story. Like I said, guys, if we can go over to links 2 real quick and take a look at those, I think this gives us the better idea of the wind damage potential that is popping up across our area. And again, if we have anybody in the booth that could switch us over, that'd be great. There we go. All right, go ahead, Walker. Looks like obviously we still have the power outages from earlier this evening, but the western sections, that's where we're seeing the highest numbers.
Correct, and we'll get a little bit of a delay between when we see the rain and when we see the outages, so we'll continue to get updates on these outages, obviously, over the next several minutes. But it looks like Bienville currently is the highest, at least for our viewing area, at 22%. Some stragglers to the north and south, and obviously there's a little bit of outages earlier, Jared, which I'm sure we both know what it's from, correct?
Yeah, and all of that's from the northeastern sections of Ouachita Parish. And I really, to be honest with you, the 0.4% that are out of power, I can't really imagine a scenario where they get power restored tonight. 22% without power parish-wide in Bienville Parish, and over a quarter of Webster Parish residents are now without power. All right, we can go back over to links 1 now. We do have that active tornado warning, but I just wanted to bring that information to folks. And again, Walker will be keeping an eye on a lot of that information. He'll join you on screen here in a little bit too, but he's kind of keeping an eye on all the information I can't see currently. Joining you on air. So switching over to velocities mode. Still seeing this area of rotation. I'm going to switch over to shear rate. Again, I know I'm bouncing between, and actually we're seeing some pretty high shear potential along I-20 and points northward. In fact, I'm going to zoom up just a little bit up into this area. This is more of a straight line wind signature than it is a tornado signature, but could see some really strong winds from Dubach down 167 toward Ruston. These areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning. You need to be in your safe place. A tornado could form in that area. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. But again, if you're in north central Louisiana along 167, from really the state line, from Junction City all the way to Dubach to Ruston southward, this is where this line is being located currently. Moving right along 167, will be moving through Ruston, is moving through Ruston now. So again, students on the campus of Louisiana Tech, Grambling State, Ruston residents, Grambling residents, and areas along I-20, if you are looking to take cover now, you've waited too late. You need to sit wherever you are and just wait for these storms to pass. Again, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you are on the interstate driving from Monroe to Ruston, I would highly advise that you pull over somewhere, and I would pull over quickly if you're talking about areas like Calhoun, and some of the surrounding areas heading west, or if you're heading toward Shreveport tonight for whatever reason and you're leaving out of Monroe, just stop and wait for these storms to pass. They're really, you won't want to be on the road in these areas here in the short term as this complex of storms continues to move east. And again, I'll continue to check in with Walker across the way. He's kind of in another room, but he can hear me. And Walker, again, this looks to be the main circulation. I know you're looking at other radar products as well, but I really don't see anything else other than this dominant circulation that's moving into southern Lincoln Parish at this point.
Yeah, you're correct. And that circulation in far northwest Jackson Parish, northeast of Quitman, other than that, honestly, Jared, to the north and to the south, it looks relatively quiet in terms of overall circulation.
Yeah, in terms of circulation, again, still the damaging wind potential, clearly. But there's our possible tornadoes now. Looks like it's crawled east of 167, south of Ruston, but could move dangerously close to the Shudrint community. And now also, we need to start alerting folks in Washita Parish, western sections of Washita Parish, from Calhoun up into Union Parish. We're talking the Downsville community, where they just had an EF1 tornado a week or two ago. But this is our area of concern right here, and it's going to continue to race off to the northeast quickly. Eris, Chatham, a lot of areas in southwestern Washita Parish. I know Cadeville, where West Washita High School is, over in that part of the parish. Make sure that you guys are keeping an eye on this storm. You're already under a severe thunderstorm warning, so make sure that you're taking proper tornado precautions to protect yourself from any potential flying debris. Again, here is our possible tornadic signature, our tornadic couplet, whatever you want to call it, continuing to move northeast. And I'm not going to redraw that circle. You kind of get the general idea of what I'm talking about here. And we're about to have to erase it anyway, because this swipe's about to give us a new look at that tornado. And I would almost, the way that signature looks in Walker, if you want to hop over, just look over at links 1 right now, you can see this area right here where the reds and greens are becoming quite ambiguous. That's our possible tornado. And it looks like that signature and that couplet's getting a little bit stronger.
Yeah, Jared, I would tend to agree. I see exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah, when I say ambiguous, it's just there's a lot of reds and greens in a lot of different directions in this area. And again, we were looking at a live radar image that's giving you all of this stuff. You take a look at the reds and greens and how they're wrapping up together in northern sections of Jackson Parish and in southern Lincoln Parish. You want to be in your safe place. This thing's going to race off to the north and east. And again, for folks along I-20 near Shudrint and some of the surrounding areas, the clock is ticking for you folks. So again, with every passing radar swipe, we're giving you a new loop every 60 seconds, and you're getting a new image. The clock is ticking with that in every minute that passes. And so we've gone from into Bienville Parish to Jackson Parish, and now we're into northern Jackson Parish, and we could be moving into eastern Lincoln Parish, and then eventually perhaps even into Washita Parish. So again, this is going to move quickly, 65 miles an hour. You think about a car moving down the interstate or moving down the highway. 65 miles an hour is very, very quick. You don't want to be caught off guard by these storms. The other straight line wind potential off to the north, all of that is there. And again, you could still see the heavy rainfall that would really shroud this possible tornado as it moves off to the north and east. Walker, again, if you hear anything or if a new warning is issued downstream for this, feel free to just kind of holler it out at me, because I'm just going to keep talking until this tornado warning's gone.
Yeah, I'm just checking back and forth in between power outages and the National Weather Service chat. No new news, Jared.
Yeah, reds and greens together near the Ebenezer community. Here's the Kelly's community. The Kelly's community, not the Kelly community in Caldwell Parish. I want to be very, very specific. Olive Grove Road. Here's the Vernon community. Here's the Vernon Highway. If you remember, a lot of these areas were impacted by tornadic activity with the storms that moved through a couple of weeks ago. Again, we're calling out a lot of familiar roads that we had to talk about. Here's the Oak Ridge community. This is a smaller Oak Ridge community, and I know a viewer called us on that earlier and said, "Oh, your Oak Ridge is in a wrong spot." No, it's just a different Oak Ridge community. Here's the Ebenezer community. We are in northern Jackson Parish, far southern Lincoln Parish. So again, I hope that gives you a general idea of where we are. Ruston, Shudron, I-20, Highway 80, Grambling, Simsboro, 167, Hodge, Jonesboro, Quitman, Eris, Chatham, Western Washita Parish, which is currently not under the tornado warning. I wouldn't be surprised if this is maybe trying to evolve into more of a damaging wind threat, but it's really, really hard to tell at this point, considering how quickly this circulation, this possible circulation is evolving. But this area right here, this main segment right out here, is going to pack some at least 65-mile-an-hour winds, maybe even stronger than that. And then there's the possible tornado tucked back somewhere in here. I'll switch over to the velocities mode. Yeah, tucked back somewhere in this general area is where that possible tornado is. So again, if you're in those areas, you've had a lot of lead time. We have joined you since the top of the 10 o'clock newscast on NBC 10. We've been on social media for pretty much that exact same time as well, and just basically harping on you to get into your safe place, treat these storms seriously, away from windows and doors, the full gambit. Make sure that you are doing that now as this storm now starts to approach the western sections of Washita Parish, and we're going to need, it's becoming decision time for the National Weather Service in Shreveport, unfortunately, where they're going to have to make a decision on whether this warning is going to need to be extended. At this point, the way it sits and with these reds and greens together near the Vernon Highway, I would think that maybe a new tornado warning may be needed for this. And again, we don't issue severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings at a TV station. Those are all issued by the National Weather Service offices in Shreveport, Little Rock, Jackson. We're just relaying the information and telling you what we see on our radar screens and with our equipment. And so, again, I just want to kind of stress that for folks that were wondering, how all of that works. And again, it seems like common knowledge, but not everybody knows that kind of stuff. Reds, greens, here's our possible tornado. Again, it's just south of Shudron. Here's Highway 80. We're starting to get close to the I-20 corridor. And Walker, you may want to start thinking about, and I'll come in there and do this in just a minute. We may want to start looking at our traffic cams out at Well Road and some of the surrounding areas. Well Road's going to be out over here, so I mean we've got a long way to go. But we may want to start kind of keeping an eye on some of our West Monroe traffic cams to see what we can see of this area as it moves into western Washita Parish here shortly. The tornado warning itself, again, still includes Ruston, although it looks like this circulation is really kind of passed to the south of you folks. But just make sure that you're staying in your safe place. Nobody wants to be outside at 11 o'clock at night. There's a lot of lightning. Also, I'll go ahead and tell you this right now. There's a look at the lightning across the region, and obviously it's going to have to backfill because I haven't had it on the screen for a while, but there's a lot of frequent lightning with these storms. Again, you do not want to be in an area where you're outside and you're having to try to take a picture or whatever you're trying to do with the storm. You just don't want to be there at this point. Damaging wind potential really, again, still stretches from just south of the state line. Areas like Farmerville, heads up, you're not under a tornado warning right now, but damaging wind gust potential is headed your way. 60, maybe 70 miles an hour at times. And then the tornado warning, again, continuing to move through Lincoln and Jackson parishes. Severe thunderstorm warning also stretching farther southward. Still seeing some high wind signatures from Winfield northward along 167 and now points eastward. So again, northern sections of Wynn Parish, a good chunk of Jackson Parish, much of western Ouachita Parish is already under severe thunderstorm warnings. You guys have gotten a lot of heads up about this storm. And notice as the radar continues to refresh, how quickly you're seeing the reds fill a little bit farther eastward. That's, again, just showing the fast-moving nature of this system as it now starts to move toward Ouachita Parish and toward the Shudrint community. Again, Highway 80, I-20, all these areas, you don't want to be on the road right now. If you're leaving West Monroe and you have somewhere to go in Ruston, you're headed to work in Shreveport, whatever, wait. Please don't get on the roads right now with these storms moving through. We had the storms that passed through the Girard community of Rayville a couple of weeks in Richland Parish a few weeks ago, and we had semis blown off the interstate. These are the kind of same scenarios we could run into tonight if you're in this area. So again, just get to your safe place, proper tornado precautions, interior portion of your home away from windows and doors, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you are on the road, if you're on I-20 right now, or you have a friend, or you're calling somebody and they're on I-20 right now, headed west toward Ruston, tell them to pull over. Try to find a gas station. There are gas stations in Shudrint. There are gas stations in Calhoun. There's convenience stores, things of that nature. Pull over. Wait for these storms to pass. You don't want to be on the roads. Do not pull under an overpass. We've seen a lot of people trying to do that lately. Don't pull under an overpass. Get off of the interstate. Try to find somewhere that is open that will let you in. And again, if you're at home, stay there. No reason to be out and about right now until these storms pass through. And again, this is a mean-looking complex of storms. I-20 southward, Shudrint to Eris, Chatham. A lot of these areas, there's our severe thunderstorm. Our tornado warning was allowed to expire. But we remain in severe thunderstorm warnings for a lot of these areas. Typically, we only stay on air for severe thunder or for tornado warnings. We would normally send you back to your regularly scheduled programming at this point and update you online. We're going to just stay right here with you for at least the next little bit as these clusters of storms continue to move eastward. I'm going to back off the screen for a second and continue to keep you updated. But for folks that are in Ouachita Parish, again, lead time is the clock's ticking and Walker, I'm going to let you go ahead and drive this for a little bit, but clearly still seeing some very, very high wind possibilities. And again, a tornado could form at any time. A tornado may have already formed. We just, again, need everybody to be weather aware.
Correct, Jared. And just because there isn't a tornado warning on the screen doesn't mean that you don't need to be taking cover or be heating shelter, because like we've talked about before, along this line and with this line, it's severe thunderstorm warning, so it's going to have a very impactful in terms of overall wind speed. It's moving at about 65 miles an hour to the east at times, so it's picking up, going pretty fast. So you have to think about that, especially considering the fact there's no tornado warnings. That straight line wind threat is a possibility. We've talked about it for the last couple of days, but this overall system was coming over from central and eastern portions of Texas earlier today. That's where the dry line actually took place, and so a cluster of storms eventually developed, and we saw this line slowly but surely work its way over towards the east here. Again, we do not currently have a tornado warning in effect, but a very broad area with a very large and powerful line of thunderstorms here moving over towards the east. So you want to make sure you take shelter anyway. Severe thunderstorms do warrant you to make sure you take shelter, so put as much distance in between you and the outside as possible. Of course, the same general thought process for a tornado warning. But just looking at some of the heavier reflectivity here, it does look to be situated more towards the south. So I would say over the last couple of minutes here, I'd say 30 to 45 minutes, I've seen areas, at least up towards the north, seen a little bit weaker and weaken overall over the last couple of minutes here. So I would say areas generally north of I-20, like see some of this reflectivity here, isn't as strong as what you see down towards the south. Again, regardless, along this line here, as this line of thunderstorms works over towards the east, that's going to be the area of concern in terms of overall wind gusts. And so what we're going to at least expect is that slowly but surely, as this line works over towards the east, it's going to use a relatively untapped environment. But as we work further and further into the evening, it's going to become more stable. And so that's not going to be less of a concern as it continues to work over towards the east and weaken. I'm going to zoom in on some areas here. Maybe I'll look back over towards some reflectivity and see if I can notice any areas of rotation again. We didn't really see too much more. That area of broad rotation still there, but again, it's no longer has a warning anymore. But other than that, Jared, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Lexi's mic'd up, so she's with me right now.
Okay.
Go ahead and keep talking.
All right. And so again, against this line here, I'm not really noticing any other areas of rotation, which is always a good sign. But again, the straight line wind threat is still there, and that's still going to be an area of concern as it works over towards the east.
I'd be honest with you, I'd stay on our radar because Shreveport's radar station is back into all that stuff now. So.
All right, I'll switch back over to our radar here. Going back over to velocity, we're looking for the reds and greens. Again, not noticing many areas of rotation, at least at this point with this line. But that severe thunderstorm warning, no new warnings just yet, at least for areas over towards the east, for central and eastern portions of Ouachita County and other areas over towards the east. But let's go back over to reflectivity here. And
seeing an interesting setup on storm relative velocity, Walker, right along I-20, just outside of Ruston to the east, just right along the Lincoln, Jackson, and Ouachita parish borders there. Looks like we're maybe starting to see something kind of cycling back up again.
Okay, I'm going to change back over to velocity here and see if I can see what you're talking about. And so I do believe that
It's there, it's just tough to see.
just right along, just to the east of Shudrint, you said?
Yeah, just right along Shudrint, yes.
Can you see where I have that circled? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that is correct. Obviously, with our live storm tracker Doppler radar, it does look a little bit more messy, but that's precisely
Correct.
the area I'm looking on System 2.
Again, there's no tornado warning here, but as that line continues to work over towards the east, you can see circulation spin up rather quickly. They'd be rather prolonged, and so it's going to be something that we just take note of on again, off again, just looking at different places along the line. But that's the area that we're talking about, potential for rotation. Again, there's no tornado warning there. I'm going to zoom back out and see what else we can look at. I'll actually switch back over to radar here so you can see. I mean, there is a notch there, correct? At least that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I've got it, Walker. Put a microphone back on. We got a new tornado warning coming. So
Okay.
just get ready.